Emily, cold?
I thought it was like a jumpsuit at first, like downstairs. I'm like, what is that? Cute little jumpsuits. Line. I love her. It's a line. Line.
You're good. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Abington High School Board meeting for Wednesday, November 19th. Would everyone please rise and pledge the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. May we please have roll call?
Mr. Abdullah,
Here.
Mr. Azar,
Here.
Mrs. Henderson,
Here.
Mrs. Hillebrand, Mrs. Karam,
Here.
Mr. Moran, Mr. Robeson,
Here.
Mrs. Tierney,
Here.
Mr. Acker,
Here.
Sorry. I do that all the time too, man. I'm sorry.
7 present.
We get caught every time.
Yes. Oh, boy. Bad start to the night. Okay, may I please have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Excuse me, approve the
Second.
agenda.
So moved. Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Abdullah,
Yes.
Mr. Azar,
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Karam,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson,
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney,
Yes.
Mr. Acker,
Yes.
7-0.
May I please have a motion to approve the minutes for the meetings of October 22nd and November 5th, please?
So moved. Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Azar,
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Karam,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson,
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney,
Yes.
Mr. Abdullah,
Yes.
Mr. Acker,
Yes.
7-0.
Okay, we're going to make a little bit of a change to the agenda tonight. We don't have our student representatives here, and Dr. Schaefer still has to prepare his speech, so he's going to ask that we move it below the public comment. So we're going to do public comment now, and I believe I see some people out there that are going to have a bit of something going on. In any case, I'd like to call up Mrs. Magnotta.
I'm here because of MT. Michelle? I hope they're dry. Tierney. And I just want to speak about how much I admire Michelle. And I was trying to come up with words, and I think she's very, and has been her entire time on this board, mindful, motivated, and just had merit in everything that she has done. So I just cannot say enough about Michelle. Tierney. She has tried and tried everything. She's true to her morals and the values of the school district, and she's very well trusted by all. So, Michelle, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for always being there when I had questions, and just knowing you were someone I can always come to. So thank you.
Thank you, Helene.
So these are for you. Sweet.
Since,
I think we're gonna have,
yeah.
I think we're gonna have some follow-ups. Mrs. Hardaway?
I'm
Hardaway?
not prepared, and you were all prepared to have little things. I saw Mickey today at a commissioners meeting where I was speaking, and she was there speaking also. And she told me this was her last night. And I was like, oh, Mickey, this is momentous. Because I remember after 17 years having my last night. And I didn't speak because I'm a crybaby. But I think I can speak to you tonight, Mickey. And the thing that came to my mind was, I call you friend. And let me tell you, over those 17 years, I developed friendships with people in situations that were sometimes pretty adversarial. Sometimes we didn't agree and like each other so much. But over those years, because of integrity, honesty, passion, commitment, I have a friend. And I can call Mickey at any time and say, hey, I need you. And she's there, miraculously. She's there and always has the time. So I want to thank you for that. And I say to the current board, I hope the same thing is happening. Because we had one board member, I won't mention any names, when it was extremely contentious, he would look at me and say, Hardaway, want to have a beer? And yes, it was time for a beer together. And that fellowship and that time together really united us in purpose, focus, and vision. Because we all came here in the best interests of the students and the school district. And I will tell you, one of the most favorite things I did was when we were hiring teachers. Because I would look at that teacher and say, it's a third grade teacher, and I've had 3 students in the school district, and I will look at that person and want to believe that that was the best person that we could put in front of those students for third grade. Because though that teacher may have many years to hone their skills, that third grader had one chance. And I can proudly say, in the years that I served, I believe that was our purpose. And not every school district has that purpose. And I believe it makes us one of the best school districts in the area. And I say that proudly. And I've seen in the 17 years, of course, my daughter started in kindergarten, and I got to hand her her diploma. And that's pretty cool on that day when you get to hand diplomas to students. And the last thing that comes to mind is, well done, good and faithful servant, well done. But thank you, Mickey.
Thank you, Kathy.
Mrs. Hardaway, thank you for your service. I believe you probably have the record for being board president for the longest. I could be wrong, but Mickey, I think.
I'll take it.
I think she is, yeah.
Followed by, if I see Mrs. Brashowski back there?
You know, I can't possibly, well, I will say thank you.
I've never known
Louise, not to
you to be
speak.
able, at a loss for words.
Everything, I'm crying, so it's gonna be hard because I really am emotional. Thank you. I really am, I'm sorry, I can't do it, but thank you, Mickey. Kathy, you got me all crying.
Thank you.
Everything she said.
Thank you, Louise, for all your thoughts. Kathy, Mike, Greg,
Mr. Fleming, would you like to?
thank you all for coming in support. You all know the years of service that you all put in, and we put in together, and man, we were a team. We made things happen, and it's been an honor to work with all of you, both presidents. And thank you both, all of you, for coming out and supporting me tonight on my last night here.
And Gina had foot surgery, so she couldn't be here.
Oh, I've been on the phone with Gina.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get, yeah.
Thank you, thank
So-
you, thank
So
you.
Mr. Fleming or Mr. Medensky, would you like to chime in, please?
Well, I'm good, but
You can't get away.
I can't hardly duplicate what Kathy said. But I'll just say, you, serving on the board for 12 years made me a better person. And hopefully we made a difference while we served. But, you know, and Mickey, your friendship has been great, and you made me a better person. And I gained a friend. And of course, with great time to serve, and like Kathy said, I hope we made a difference in children's lives and in the community. So, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mike.
Greg?
I have to.
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't cry because my daughters, they exposed me to Hallmark movies and I cry all the time.
Join the club.
But it was a privilege serving with all of you. And again, we did it for the kids. We did it for the community. And our group, and Mike and I were on the board the same length of time, 12 years. I couldn't tell you what party anybody was because I could care less because we were there for a reason. The community, the kids, the school district, that's all we cared about. Yes, we did have differences and we argued, but what was nice about it was once we argued, it was like, it's over with. And I may disagree with you, I don't agree with you, but we walked out friends and comrades and just went on our business. And when we voted, and whatever passed, if you were against it, didn't matter. That was the majority, and that's the way we looked at it. We were not, my experience, we were not political. And that's what in today's society, I think that we need more of that. But anyway, thank you. Your friendship has been great. I know my wife and you went to school together. Like everybody here, kids go through school. Fantastic school district. Please keep up the good work, and thank you for serving, and Michelle, love you.
Thank you, Greg. I've got a few words to say, and all of you can attest to this. Just say no to Joe.
So thank you, all of you, for serving on the Abington High School Board. You did make a difference. You paved the way for us. We appreciate what you guys did, and you showed us how to do it right. And I think Greg hit the nail on the head. Focus on the kids in the school district, not on everything else that goes on. So thank you. Dr. Schaefer?
So we did celebrate Mickey before we came up here, and you going to show that off, Mickey? Why don't you do that? You got to put it on, Mickey. Come on. Turn it around. It's got her name on the side. She's official. So there's a couple things that I would like to say about a few people in the room, and I'm not going to be redundant, but I will reiterate a little bit of what I said downstairs about Mickey. And as a father of daughters, I have many interesting conversations with this 17 and 18-year-old. And one of the things that I admire most about Mickey is her willingness to support our kids through extracurriculars and athletics. I feel that she serves as a very strong role model to all of our student athletes, but again, I'm biased here, but especially our young women today, and modeling how you can be a leader and how you can code switch of sorts and come down and support the students. If you took a look at our organizational chart, you would see that who runs the district? It is our board, right? These are elected by our constituents. And every day after school, she's there on the ground level working with the most important people in our organization, our customers and our students. So a tip of the hat to Mickey, and we thank you. And we know that you will continue to help our kids in cross country and track, because that's going to be hard for her to let her go. In a very difficult transition and segue here, we have another person at the table who this will be their last. Oh, I was going to get to them after. Okay. Is that right?
No, that's fine.
We got that.
Let him go. Yeah, let him talk.
What? One more person, and that's Sue O'Day. and I know this is bittersweet. Sue works in our purchasing and student services, and she's so much more than that. She's a proud mom and nanny, and she does an excellent job helping us out here as our board secretary. But I can tell you, as the superintendent, very few times do you have somebody that everybody knows. And if you've worked in a district, we purchase a lot of things: paper clips, paper, mats, working on a middle school. And so somebody has to be talking to all the vendors, and everybody knows Sue. And they know that if there's a problem or if there's a delay, that they're not emailing board members, they're not emailing me, that they could pick up the phone and talk to Sue. So on behalf of the board and the administration, faculty and staff, we want to extend a heartfelt thank you and provide you with these lovely flowers. I think somebody else wants to say something. Who could that be?
Hello. Michelle Snyder, Clark Summit. I had to write this, I had to write it down because I would be too nervous. So I'm speaking to you as both an employee and a daughter. Hopefully, congratulations on your board-approved retirement. For over 30 years, you have served the district and community, from starting as a building aide at South Abington to your current administrative role as Director of Business Services. You've shown up each day, committed to the work, the people, and the students. I think what's unique about your position is it's very much behind the scenes of what we are as a school and educators. So a couple things to just point out, as Dr. Schaefer said, we do a lot of ordering, but I do think it's especially important to just note and thank you for keeping our schools and our buildings fully stocked with the supplies and materials we need so that teachers can provide highly effective instruction for our students, keeping our accounts in order and organized so our students have the opportunity to experience extracurriculars, for maintaining and ensuring smooth operations of our cafeterias so our students' bellies are full and they are ready to learn. I wrote on a bus map, so. It has truly been an opportunity, a great opportunity for me and a gift to be your coworker for the last 3+ years. So your replacement has big shoes to fill for me in a lot of ways, but I'm excited for you to just fully embrace this next chapter with me and with all the grandkids. So congratulations.
I have something to say about Sue.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
May I rise for public comment for the first time?
You can rise, state your name anytime.
Jim Marabelli, Clark Summit, Gosford Lane, just up the road there. I rise to celebrate two people tonight, but I would be remiss if I didn't stand to talk about Sue O'Day, who welcomed me here, and you already had a couple of decades on me before I arrived about 13 years ago. Sue is undoubtedly our workhorse, right? Like, jack of all trades, absolute workhorse, and the front lines, maybe behind the scenes, as you say, but everybody knows her name. I was in Battaglia's the other day, and Sharon didn't recognize me. She's like, "Where's Sue?" Right? So, so she knew me by name, but she's like, "Well, who's going to replace Sue?" She was so concerned where Sue was going that it was just a funny moment. But I have to compliment you, because oftentimes in school districts, there's a certain hierarchy and there's a certain, people are blocked sometimes in their roles. Well, Sue worked her tail off, took on responsibility day after day, always asking for more responsibility, and never complained once along the way. All types of new regulations come in, Sue was always there to step up along the way. And that's a real testament. In a world where many people may work to get rid of work, Sue was always taking on work. And as a result, you carved your own path, right, to the administrative rank. So
It has been an absolute pleasure working with you for the entire time, and thank you for welcoming me. Now I'm getting emotional here. Thank you for welcoming me, and you know, I hope you'll stay in touch with us. I know you're close, and but just sincerely thank you. Thank you. Now, Michelle hired me along with our other friends in the back. So I would be, you know, I try to think of something that hasn't already been said because there's so many. The first thing I want to say is thank you for asking about my family, my kids, every time, every single time. The other thing I want to say is you've always challenged me, always, specifically, right? Always had a different way of looking at something, always had a different question, and just a unique way of looking at things that, now, besides Louise,
I was going to tell you, I've had great teachers.
besides Louise, Michelle was always the board member that I had to prepare for the most coming to the meeting. So, and that truly is a compliment, Michelle. So thank you for challenging me. Thank you for making me better. Thank you all for making me better, but sincerely, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak about Sue or Michelle? I know there's some, Michelle wants to make some comments, but before that, anyone else? Okay, Michelle, the floor is yours.
I had the privilege of being in high school with Sue O'Day. Sue O'Day and I go way back. Sue O'Day and I share some hobbies, and one is biking. So I am riding maybe for my third or fourth year in Sue O'Day's bike that she gave me 4 or 5 years ago. Sue has been a great friend, and I can speak for the Abington Education Improvement Organization, who has always gone to Sue for invoicing and helping to get their invoices paid. And there was a great conduit with the AEIO and Sue's office. So I compliment you. You've been a great asset to Abington Heights. You were a great friend in high school, and good luck on the roads on your bike. Enjoy your retirement, Sue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Tierney. That's very nice. Okay. We have one other public comment. I want to apologize because we kind of got caught up in a few things. So, Caitlin Kime, please accept our apologies, and we're all ears.
Not at all, no apology needed. I'm sort of new to the speaking at school board meeting junket here, but it won't be the last because I've got lots of passion and ideas. So, but I can say thank you because Sue was one of the first welcoming faces on my first meeting, and Mickey, you were one of the first to give encouragement, and that was really helpful and why we're still here. So thank you and good evening, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak again tonight. My name is Caitlin Kime, and I'm here as both a parent and community member who strongly supports the implementation of full-day kindergarten in our district. Recently, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania passed its fiscal year 2025-2026 budget, which includes more than $900 million in additional funding for pre-K to 12 public education, including a $565 million increase in adequacy funding, $105 million boost for basic education funding, $40 million increase for special education, $125 million for school infrastructure improvements, and another $175 million in savings tied to charter and cyber charter reform. These additional funds address many of the valid points we've heard from the board around barriers to implementing full-day kindergarten. We've also heard that windows of opportunity have been missed in the past. I'm here tonight to respectfully ask that the board and administration act now to take full advantage of this funding moment and begin the transition to full-day kindergarten. I want to speak tonight specifically to educational equity, an issue close to my heart. I want to give yet another well-deserved shout out to Ms. Bavard at Clark Summit Elementary, along with their entire excellent team. Full-day kindergarten is especially important for our students who have 504 plans or individualized education programs. These students often require additional support, accommodations, and differentiated instruction delivered by certified teachers and specialists. A full-day program provides time to meet those needs more effectively than a half-day schedule. Asking parents to rely on the good fortune that they'll get a spot in a desired private preschool, that those early childhood programs will be able to adequately accommodate neurodivergent children, and that parents can afford it through age 7 is inequitable when compared to the full-day programs of neighboring districts, where double the instructional time is given to make meaningful progress on these goals. Our request for full-day kindergarten aligns with the commitment to ensure all students have access to the resources and opportunities they need to succeed. Given the new state funding and reform momentum, we have an opening now to make real progress. I ask the board to direct district leadership to develop a clear plan and timeline for full-day kindergarten. Let's ensure we are ready for implementation in a timely, equitable, and fiscally responsible way. Thank you for your dedication to our students and for considering this priority. I want to reiterate that many of us with varied professional experience in these areas are willing to get to work with the board, administrators, and community to see full-day kindergarten become a reality in Abington Heights. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your patience. Okay, Dr. Schaefer? I'll turn the...
I'm going to yield my time in a minute to Jim, who's going to provide a budget presentation to the board and community. However, before Jim comes up, I want to say a couple words about the boys soccer team. And I've done this in the past, and you know, I'm speaking as not only the superintendent, but as a father, as an avid sports fan, and someone that just loves to watch great events. And throughout the journey to our boys winning the state championship, I go to the games, speak with the students, and there's a lot of great things to say about the team. There isn't enough superlatives. However, there was one observation that I made, and several others who were in attendance down in northern York County did. And it really wasn't written about, but I think it was the embodiment of focus and excellence. And I'd be remiss if I didn't share what I observed and how full of joy, the joy that I felt when I saw it. In the euphoria of this moment of winning the state championship, the students ran to the stands. We had seemingly 100 fans, kids that were there right up against the railing. They walked up, they were celebrating. The other team was certainly disappointed and disheartened, and I've seen that in Abington as well, just a few short years back. And in surveying the field, I saw the other team's goalie just laying on the ground, had his hands, you know, over his face. And the other team was across the field. And our team was then celebrating in the middle. 3 to 4 of our students stopped their celebration, walked over, extended their hand and pulled up that goalie. In the minute that happened, I was sitting around a crowd of adults, and the focus shifted from what they observed to this microcosm of Abington Heights that we were seeing on the field. So I am extremely proud of what our boys achieved, not only for themselves as young men, for the school, as representatives of their family, but things that they've learned that they don't yet know they learned about this experience. But that was a very proud dad superintendent moment that I just have to publicly acknowledge. So thank you to the boys soccer team for all that they have provided to our community over this past fall. With that said, Jim, you will be talking about the equally as exciting budget for 25-26 that was approximately 100 days late, filling a 35% gap in our operating budget. So. Got that?
I only have 4 slides, so.
You're also
wait,
gonna
does it
need a
take a
microphone.
second?
So, do you want me to click and you talk? What do you wanna do?
Want to be your clicker?
Otherwise Justin's gonna yell at me and no one can hear me out.
I'm gonna go back to the microphone.
Do you want the clicker?
Just give that a second to warm up.
So tonight, I'm here primarily because I want to give an update on the state budget and how that impacts Abington Heights. But I wanted to start, and as soon as the screen comes up, we'll bring it up. I wanted to start talking about, because we're going to head into budget season, right? So we're in the midst of like 3 years. We just finished 24, 25, 25, 26 going on right now. 26, 27, we're going to have budget presentations coming up. So I want to start with the foundation of how did we finish up the 24-25 fiscal year, okay? And the 24-25 fiscal year, if you look at the general fund on the AFR, which we have filed, you will see that the general fund broke even. But there's a little bit more to the story. There was $1.6 million available in the general fund at the end of the year, which customarily every year, if there's a surplus, we transfer it over to capital reserve. We have many capital needs. So that transfer brought the surplus to 0, and that transfer was made over to capital reserve, and we'll be using that in the future. So that sounds like good news. I do want to mention, though, our health insurance fund lost $1.7 million. So all in all, when you look at everything, we basically broke even across the board, right? That was driven, and this is no secret to anyone, the pharmaceutical drugs are really, really hurting us right now, and that spike was driven by that. Also some high-cost claimants. We can't really get into that, but we were getting hit with both things that you can't get hit with in the same year, okay? So as you know, in the 25-26 budget, we had to invest an additional $1.7 million to level up to get to this point in time. So we think we have addressed it. I do have an update on how that's going. We'll talk about that in a second. So let's talk about when I stood here in May and June talking about our budget last year. We had, I'm sorry, for the current year, we had $60.4 million in revenues, $62 million in expenses, and at that time we had a $1.6 million budgetary deficit. And I think Mr. Acker looked at me and asked, do we have a path to break even? And I think I told you yes at that time. And the things that I mentioned were, as we always do, have conservative revenue estimates. We had a contingency in there, as we always do. And then we talked about charter school tuition budget, how we budgeted that, and what we had hoped for. We also talked about, because I'm signaling good news is coming, but I also want to, at the bottom there, we do have areas of budgetary pressure. Special education costs, medical insurance costs, and maintenance costs are 3 of our really high drivers of the budget. So, after 135 days, the state came through for us, and you'd help me skip by the macro, so we're going to go to the micro, okay? So how did that impact Abington Heights? How did the state budget pass Abington Heights? So we had budgeted $8.2 million in basic ed funding. We came in, the state gave us about $40,000 more than we expected. Okay, special ed funding, we budgeted for 2.1, which I think we budgeted about flat, maybe 1%. And it came in about $2,000 higher than we had expected. But where the real money was placed was in the Ready to Learn block grant. We had budgeted for $857,000, and we will be receiving a little over $2 million there. So that was a $1.14 million positive impact. Overall, $1.18 million to the good, positive impact there. So if we went back to the last slide and we saw that $1.6 million deficit, you can see where this helps pretty significantly chipping into that, and that's Mr. Acker's path to a break-even year, right? So any questions on those line items? Oh, I should also call out that the state continued the mental health and safety grant. We've been using that in the past for things like cameras and SRO, for, I always get it wrong, it's a counselor that we use there. So we've been putting those to work. I think it was a crisis counselor we used there. So any questions on those line items and state appropriations?
Anybody in the public want to ask a question about this?
The Learn Block Grant, where is that money specific for certain areas?
The Ready to Learn block grant is, should I call it a subsidy by another name? Now, we do have to fill out a grant application, so to speak. However, the regulations are written as such where we can use them for things like teacher salaries, right? That's primarily where we budget them for. And you don't have to spend them on new teacher salaries. They can be on ongoing expenses.
But it's like a one-time this year grant only.
No. Yeah, I think the terminology I use in the accountability block grant, one of them is class size reduction, which is a proxy, as Jim said, for purchasing teachers. While on the face, and I've said this in Harrisburg, and I've also said this in Washington, D.C. when I met with Senator Fetterman, while he does not control the state budget, we just try to get as many ears as possible. Since losing the court case, they were trying to figure out how to disperse some of these adequacy dollars. Jim and I have talked ad nauseum about how we try to figure out the formula, and we have not figured out what that formula is. However, they drove it out in adequacy for, I believe, one reason is where they could drive it towards instruction, which I agree with. They're saying, we're going to drive this extra money into school districts. However, we want it used for the classroom purposes and things like that. Now, there are many artful ways to utilize the accountability block grant, but as Jim said, we've been using it for teacher salaries. The cautionary tale I have with the accountability block grant is it's not written into the code like the basic education fund, right? As many of our board members out there, you've heard the term hold harmless. In years past, over my 32 years, it was Jim and I had a discussion about this. It was pretty easy when we were budgeting for this because, you know, we'd either level it and we'd just say, well, we anticipate the same amount of money because we're not going to get any more, but we would never go over 2%. We certainly wouldn't see this, but we knew that it wouldn't be reduced, you know, outside of things that we observed with the Corbett administration. So I do think that the intentions are, in the court-ordered detentions, that they keep this money coming. With that said, I don't know what the future holds. So I don't want to sound like I am glass half empty guy up here. We are very, very thankful for that to plug some of these holes.
Absolutely, and you know, the standard really, and my past board members will remember, if we got 2% in a basic ed subsidy increase in a given year, that was kind of a big deal, right? So these are some landmark, you know, amounts that we really haven't seen except for the last 3 years. So definitely grateful for it. we're cautious with block grants and how we will project this forward, that, you know, those projections we'll be working on them next. We're closing 24, 25, and we'll be working on 25, 26, I'm sorry, yes, 26, 27 budget, and then we'll forecast from there. We're gonna have to be really careful with how we forecast the block grant forward.
Yeah, don't worry, there's a twist to the story in here. That's a political twist, so.
So the other place that we, I guess, benefited was cyber charter reform. And before we talk about the nuts and bolts, I just, if you'll indulge me in a quick story. Some may recall in the beginning of the budget process, they were floating different ideas like a flat amount, $8,000. Sounds awesome. To me, that didn't sound practical. It didn't sound like it was going to get the votes to get across. So like I'm more of a practical thinker. And it was really neat because around the same time, I said, Chris, what are you thinking about this? And we both kind of came to the view that the 4 options that were being surveyed of us were not practical options. So Chris challenged me to kind of think about it differently and say, like, we got to talk about this a different way. How can we recommend something that might actually work, right? So I went back to my little, business office dungeon, right? And came up with a few ideas and a few things that irked me. Now, the PDE 363 form is the vehicle at which you calculate your tuition rate. So you can tell the charter schools how much you spend so that they can charge you a commensurate amount, which is like, still to this day, it's just insane to me. So we said, what are the problems with this form? And there's like a lot of problems with the form, but one of them are, we can't deduct cyber charter school tuition. So cyber school tuition is in the calculation, so they get paid off of them costing a lot, and then that therefore increases our, right? And I mean, to me, like, that was just bizarre. We talked about they don't have the same buildings,
Yeah.
right? They don't have the same building requirements. We talked about student activities and things like that. And then Chris went to a panel. What panel was that, Chris?
Yeah, I spoke with the senator who put up the legislation, Senator Brown.
So he came in and we kind of were in the war room studying this issue, and then he went and spoke, and then I didn't really know the day that he went and spoke, but we were kind of talking about this. But then I heard back from a few business manager friends, he's like, what is your guy talking about there? That's like a pretty good idea, you know what I mean? So came around, some people listened to him, and then this ended up, lo and behold, the things that got changed in the code. Now, if it came from that meeting, I choose to believe it did. This was just not an idea that was being circulated, right? So Chris spoke eloquently, as I'm told by my business manager friends who were in attendance, and their superintendents, and these are the things that came out of it. So we get to deduct 100% of regular ed cyber charter tuition, which makes sense. We shouldn't be paying off of a rate that they're already being paid, right? So let's deduct that. 100% of tax collection costs. Well, they don't collect taxes, so that doesn't make sense that they would, benefit from that. 60% of our student activities costs we can deduct. We can debate if 60% is the right number or not. And then 60% of plant maintenance costs we can deduct out of the calculation. So at the end of the day, we suspect they may have just engineered those last 2 numbers to get to the number that they need, the savings number they needed. But the point remains, there was cyber charter reform that people could agree on, and I think it started with your superintendent having a great dialogue in front of some important people. So anyway, the whole sum total of that and how it benefits Abington Heights is when you recalculate the charter tuition, and if you take our October enrollment, if our October enrollment stays flat for the whole year, we will save somewhere in the neighborhood of $217,000. Okay? Now, they did take away the $100,000 reimbursement that we did receive last year. Now, we budget conservatively, we never budgeted for that. So I'm showing you what we budgeted for and what the difference is according to our budget and how it impacts us. So if all things stay the same in charter world, we'll save a little over $200,000 from that provision.
Mr. Mirabelli, can you tell the crowd here what our charter cyber costs are on an annual basis?
Our charter costs are approximately $2 million. I think when most of you left, they were under $1 million.
Yeah, it's really $2 million.
$2 million. Yeah, since COVID, we really haven't seen it go below 1.7.
I hope they reform more. I mean, the cyber tuition should cost what it costs them to
Exactly.
deliver cyber instruction,
Yeah.
not what it costs us.
Louise, you're being too logical. How dare you? So I do, Jim and I talked about this, and I don't want to get off on a rant, because I did speak with many people about this, most likely very different than how I speak here about it, given the audience. But essentially, this is how I describe it, is even with these adequacy dollars, you will hear a lot of, like you said, when you take a look at the macro and they're like pumping all this money in, but essentially it's a big grift. The more we pump in to this PDE 363 as it was a little bit before, the more money getting pumped out to the cyber charters. So then my colleagues were saying, wait a minute, these adequacy dollars you gave us, they're not even enough to cover the increases in the cyber charter bills. And so, yes, we are grateful that we're having more money put into the accountability block grant. And the twist, Mr. Medensky, is this. I'd look at it like a IRS form that I fill out. I've got some deductions, right? And all the way up until this year, we could probably deduct about 80% of the accountability block grant, which was great. We didn't get much, but it was $250,000, and we want that to go to classroom teachers. We wanted that to go to specialists. And so that accountability block grant, at least 80% of it, did not go into the calculation for the tuition for cyber charter. So then they decide to pump in a very disgusting number that you mentioned. It's just millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Well, our deduction remains the same as the Corbett era. So we can deduct approximately $135,000. And this number now you see into a block grant was probably, 1.1, because you've got all the other stuff in there. 2 million. So all of that extra stuff goes into the calculation, which only elevates the cyber charter. And there's a big grift. And I think what I said in this meeting, it was like a little tongue-in-cheek after I made my point, as I said, look, I'm not an accountant, but my brother works for Goldman Sachs, and he's a CPA, and he tells me this is shady. And I said, so again, we are grateful for the changes, but we will continue to advocate for the rest of the changes. But to be clear, as Jim said, how this really works, in my opinion, is that it's reverse engineered. In education, when we go for grants, when I talk about grants, the first thing we look at is what are our high priority needs? And then we go look for funding in those areas. The budget kind of works the opposite way. So Governor Shapiro puts out a budget of $50 billion. An opposing party puts it out at $47 billion. They meet in the middle, and they have a number. And then they say, how do we get to that number, line item by line item? So when Jim put up the whole 60% thing with, in the new form, we can deduct 60% of our student activities cost and 60% of plant maintenance and operations. We used to be able to deduct 100%. The only reason that shifted is because you're looking at money to close a gap. So that cyber charter rate could be a lot lower. but what they're doing is just reverse engineering this formula to get to a number that they agreed upon. So I'm not upset about it, but it just makes me more determined because now it's a surgical argument. Now I know. Now I don't have to worry about the double counting of our tuition in special education and regular education. I know we know exactly where it is, and we can have talking points for all board members where we could really zero in to get this money back. Because as Louise appropriately says, is when you take a look at what we spend per student in a classroom and what we're having to pay a cyber charter, it is just unjust. And we are one of the fortunate districts because we have a really low tuition rate.
That's right.
There are plenty of schools that are paying over $50,000 per student. So
What is our rate? Do we know?
it was probably
Our new
1326.
rates,
Probably 1326 around that area, 1224.
well, it's not quite double because now we have the 1.89 multiplier, which is another big thing that, actually, this might be the biggest part. Because the special ed rate that is calculated is based on our special ed costs. Generally speaking, I think we've learned that there's more needs in the public school than maybe a student who is in a cyber charter school. So it's not really equitable. Like, so they're taking the cost of our most needy kids, and that's built into the calculation. So now, after you take these deductions and you come up with your regular ed rate, you multiply your regular ed rate by 1.89. So you get the lesser of the two, which is, it's beneficial. It's not a fortune, but it's beneficial to us because our special ed rate has always been more than double the regular ed rate. So,
Yeah,
that's
and that speaks to it. I'm sorry that we're going on a tangent, but it not a tangent. But this is important because this is a little bit of too much detail. And I understand it, but if you take one or two things away, that's a win, because there are many people that perhaps aren't following the budget, and you see some big numbers, and so we're just providing you some information which really hurts us financially. So to compound matters, of all of our students attending cyber school, 80% attend a cyber charter. And what I can say unequivocally is students with the highest needs would not receive the types of services that they need in an online atmosphere. It's not practical, and it's not effective. I'd call it harmful. So what happens is the students with special needs that are going to the cyber charter are receiving services, mostly itinerant services, let's say something like speech, which cost us very little. Certainly not $23,000. If our tuition rate for a regular education student is $12,000, then if I added on what the speech cost would be, maybe $13,000 a year, but certainly not the 23 that we had to spend. And so those are the types of things that the board has to face when dealing with this. We may not agree with it, but it is what it is that way, and we have to put it out, and we have to continue to advocate for our cause. So those are really important pieces. And the other thing I wanted to mention in Jim's budget presentation is about healthcare. Yes, we are certainly not the only school. In fact, I have not spoken with a superintendent, and I've been in numerous meetings that wasn't the first thing that they said to me, alongside with escalating special education costs and cyber costs. It is always opening with that. And
Can I just ask what our fund balance is in the self-funded insurance fund?
three,
I'm sorry, we're around $3 million.
It's only 3 million.
so,
We've had catastrophic years.
and that's with the increases. So the appropriate word would be proliferation. So the way I explain healthcare is that it's like a utility for us. We are self-funded. And when I was a school counselor, I didn't understand insurance. I know I had good insurance, right? I didn't know who paid it. I could just go to the doctor, take my children to the doctor. It was great. Now I see the bills and what's behind it, and it becomes very frustrating. And we're all here in the district in the same healthcare. But this is how I frame it. Every month we pay our healthcare bill, our utility bill, and it's $600,000. Okay? And it's rising at such a rate that this year, or the first 3 months, it's around $650, which over 12 months gives you another month, your 13th month, right? And then we pay stop-loss insurance, and of course, that also increases to the tune of, closer to 500 or so. We had seen this coming. We're working on it, and this is one of the primary drivers for our early bird contract that we signed with the union in August. The new contract for the union starts on, I believe, September 1st of 2026. However, we did negotiate new insurance, SaveRx, where we all believe and we collectively work together with the union as a very good partner to start this and start it 6 months early. So we will start our new insurance plan on January the 1st. And our hope is, in working with our healthcare consultants, that we can kind of regress back to the mean. So when I say savings, it all depends on how you define savings. In this case, I hope that we can regress back to the mean of the beginning of this year. And we will continue to work with our insurance, our healthcare consultants to do everything that we can. But I would be lying if I told you that it wasn't frustration. It's just frustrating, and we're doing everything in our control. But it's just really important for me to talk about this because the board has to make past and present a lot of difficult decisions, and there are so many headwinds that change dramatically, and trying to get something like healthcare under control is very difficult. Thank you, Jim, for a little bit of that, and
Yeah.
I don't know if we.
So that's it for that. I don't want to belabor the point, but when I say we've had catastrophic years, we are among company, right? So we work with a number of districts. Everywhere you look, same story. Everybody's getting crushed in healthcare, absolutely crushed. Haven't heard anybody have a good year or even a decent year this year or the prior year.
Crushed.
So,
Everybody.
crushed.
That's the word that you're hearing.
Crushed. Yeah. And it's, like to the point where if somebody gets a 9% projection increase, there's celebration going on. And it's really, really hard to stomach. So if there are no questions on that, I just want to give just timeline going forward, if I may. So what we're doing now, we filed the AFR. We're wrapping up the audit. You're going to start seeing in your board packet the year-to-date financial results, right? So we'll start talking about how we're doing this year. We're also immediately pivoting to budget development for 26-27. We'll present that to you, and from there, we will create a 5 and 10-year forecast so we can start having a little bit more of those heavy-duty conversations that we want to have, capital and otherwise. And from there, we'll kind of pick those apart, adjust them as necessary, and we'll kind of go from there. Anybody have any questions on that process?
Mrs. Tierney.
Jim, with the certification of the reassessment, when will you get the figures for you to fit into a formula? And do you foresee for next year there being any difficulties with having appeals and Like, where do you feel the district sits right now with the reassessment?
All right, so I could go a lot of ways with that, okay? I can tell you on my desk, I have a stack of appeals that is about this high, okay? I did ask the tax assessor, how are we going to address these before these go into effect, because why that's problematic that we have appeals on future assessment data. We're going to set our millage based on whatever the county certifies, okay? If these appeals don't get resolved before that happens, we have set our millage, right? So if let's say we keep the real estate tax the same, we will get the same revenue that we got in the current year. Now, these appeals roll in. I think we're over 30 now, or like there's a lot of appeals. These appeals roll in, and as they get kind of whittled down, we have a new race to the bottom. You don't have a way to make up that revenue that you're losing, right? We work with another district where the same thing happened. They had a lot more commercial properties. The commercial properties didn't appeal beforehand, right? And then as soon as it was certified, they then appealed. That district lost $5 million in recurring revenue over a 3-year period, and then forever. You'd never get that revenue back.
Yeah, and as Jim talks about, make no mistake, this is a very strategic game. And when we're talking about a stack of appeals, we're not talking about residents here. We're talking about companies, corporations with land and whatnot. And there are some that have filed appeal, and as what Jim said, I anticipate others coming later on purpose. And part of the reason was it's very difficult in this area, just like others, to find comps for some of these. So then it's our assessment versus your assessment, and we start going back and forth. But make no mistake about it, I won't name them, but we've settled a couple big ones in the last couple years that span over a decade, and just over and over and over. So, and I will say, I don't necessarily have a, well, I guess I do have an opinion on it, but, you know, if you don't assess your properties in over 50 years, then you get this imbalance. So, you know, you reap what you sow, sometimes not Abington. This is a county issue. So when you don't do it on a consistent basis to make sure that your values are set appropriately, then you get a goofy system where they're trying to equalize everything and you can't do it, and it becomes an open space where, make no mistake about it, we have a list of our 30 highest taxpayers. They're not residents, right? It's probably like 100, they're companies. And then we come at, and so we're not losing $5,000, $10,000 at a time. We're losing 50, 70, 100, 200,000. And so we're losing neighborhoods of revenue. I personally talked to the CEO of Weiss, and I said, you're going to cost us 2 teachers. That's what you're doing, a year. He didn't show up at Mazzoni's chambers. It was me and 2 to 3 lawyers, and they didn't back off, and that's what he cost. I told Jonathan Weiss right to his face, you're going to cost us 3. If something's fair, I'm fine with fair. We are a board. We are fine with fair. But, you know, come on. You know the context here in the county. So I did have an opinion, it turns out, Warren. I'm sorry about that. Had a lot of opinions tonight, you know.
So
Sorry
I
about
guess
that.
I would say, like, we do need equity in our assessments. This does need to happen.
Yes.
I am making this board aware that there are potential revenue losses on the horizon. And I have had business managers from other counties who've gone through this who've been warning me about this for years. Okay? So So I'm not editorializing here, I'm speaking from experience and others' experiences, and I do think this is a very real threat to our revenue model, going forward. We could lose in year 1 or 2 a pretty significant part of our tax base.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions on the topic of budgets or finances before we move on? I want to thank everybody for their participation. I think these are important discussions. Thanks. Okay, since we've been talking about money for a little while, Mrs. Karam, would you like to go through the treasurers and the bills report and maybe give us some good news?
I'm just going to give you the report. We began the month with a cash balance of $24,577,655.05. We took in monthly revenues of $8,885,660.87. Our net disbursements were $6,243,393.10 for a cash balance available of $27,219,922.82.
Thank you very much. May I please have a motion to approve the treasurers and bills report?
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Henderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Karam,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney.
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah.
Yes.
Mr. Azar.
Yes.
Mr. Acker.
Yes.
7-0.
Mr. Acker, this time I'd ask the board to consider a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Karam,
Yes.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney.
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah.
Yes.
Mr. Azar.
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson.
Yes.
Mr. Acker.
Yes.
7-0, and thank you for letting me retire.
Wait, you can be on I-9, right?
I'd like to change my
I think
vote.
we have a couple more roll calls to go, Mrs. Henderson.
Mr. Acker, at this time, I'd ask the board to consider a motion to approve the November 2025 volunteer list.
So moved.
Second.
On the motion? Again, our list is something like 12 pages long. It's amazing. Roll call, please.
Mr. Robeson.
Yes.
Mrs. Tierney.
Yes.
Mr. Abdallah.
Yes.
Mr. Azar.
Yes.
Mrs. Henderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Karam.
Yes.
Mr. Acker.
Yes.
7-0.
Okay, we're almost at the end here. We do have some unfinished business. We have a board report.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Henderson, would you like to tell us about the curriculum committee?
Sure thing. Curriculum Committee, Anthony, on November 5th, we discussed comprehensive plan goal number 1, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Social studies, which is social studies K-6 curriculum implementation update. Mrs. Beck, one of our kindergarten teachers at Newton Ransom, is piloting the elementary curriculum in each of the grades and is consulting with Dr. Calder. So far, it's working out as they hoped. Students seem engaged, and it is translating well to other subject areas. The next steps will be how to decide how it will be implemented throughout the district moving forward. The admin teams have been completing instructional walkthroughs at every level. They are offering feedback based on instruction and learning. Building administrators are using Dr. Sam Mormando's AI learning platform to synthesize their notes, to look at information that is consistent across their observations, and then aligning it to Danielson's framework. This is being used to level set and give feedback that is actionable. Dr. Morando's is coming later this month to meet with the admin team to talk about the next steps. Comprehensive plan goal number 2, school climate. Residence education update. Our consultant is working with teachers and staff to layer SEL into existing instruction across subjects. They're using the framework, and they are hoping that helping teachers to incorporate a shared language and brief conversation starters that build awareness and connection without adding to their workload. Early feedback has been positive, and teachers appear receptive to the practical strategies provided. Subject number 2 is our family and caregiver workshops. In the 24-25 school year, we expanded our workshops for parents and caregivers to offer additional education and support. The topics were selected directly from survey feedback collected at the end of the 23-24 school year. Workshops were offered once a month at the high school, and dinner and childcare were provided. Strengthening family partnerships is an important part of our district's commitment to supporting the whole child, yet last year's workshop format saw low attendance. Feedback from families indicated that the primary barrier was lack of time. To address this, we will create a subcommittee to conduct a deeper review and brainstorm meaningful ways to deliver these workshops as valuable support to our families. One potential approach is to pair workshops with events that are already well attended. Our first step will be to gather input from building principals to identify high attendance events at their schools and to hear their feedback and suggestions. Once this information is collected, the subcommittee will meet to develop a timeline and a plan for the remainder of the school year. The plan is for the subcommittee to meet in December. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, February 4th. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other reports? Is there any other new business?
I would like to have a few minutes.
Of course, Mrs. Tierney, you stole my,
Thank you. Humor me for a few more minutes, as this is my last night under this microphone. Reflecting on my 5 terms at Abington Heights, the time, along with the environment of the Abington Heights community, really set the tone in the direction of how a board director actually sees and makes decisions. Approximately 25 years ago, I helped to establish a community group called the Concerned Parents of Abington Heights. During that time, our teachers' union was exercising their right to strike. A group of us parents, along with a bunch of community members, actually went with our Senator Mello at the time to Harrisburg to try to get a bill passed which was binding arbitration. Our teachers' contracts were over 75% of our operating budgets, which we see still today. And the community was really struggling with the high cost of health care and the pension costs. It was driving our operational costs out of control. So I started to attend school board meetings. I listened to the community's concerns, and I watched the process of a governing school board. So now I'm going to share with you a little bit of politics. I decided to run for the board, and as I was cleaning out all of my old stuff, I found my door hangers that I walked in every neighborhood in 2005. I have to say I look cute there. And this is what I wrote. I was a voice of the community committed to making a change for uninterrupted quality education, fiscal responsibility, community involvement, and accountability. So I ran, and it started my first term. Being a product of Abington Heights and knowing that my parents moved to the Abingtons in the 60s was no surprise that academics come first. With a new superintendent and a majority of the board members being sworn in, I was a part of a team that supported the administration's high standards of a very rigorous curriculum. AP courses were added with strong curriculum along with professional development to challenge students and prepare for the AP exams. We were leading local districts to offer dual enrollment. The numbers of colleges participating is a testament to the curriculum offered. Abington Heights extended its relationship with CTC, our Career Technology Center, and continued to offer technology and NOCTI courses in the curriculum. We supported administrators in high school career pathway course choices, allowing students to select courses pertaining to careers of interest. I was a part of a team that celebrated, along with the administration, the Blue Ribbon Awards from the governor's office. Our South Abington Elementary received a Blue Ribbon, which is a high standard award in their strong literacy and strong reading curriculum, along with our teachers' initiatives. Our middle school was awarded a Blue Ribbon, also from the governor's office. I was honored, along with administration, to give Mrs. Wolf, the governor's wife, a tour of our middle school. The state was so impressed with the middle school specials courses, and also very specifically the piloted after-school program with extended after-school activities run by faculty and transportation for all students. Abington Heights was the statewide example for other districts with middle school hours, and we were very proud that it was self-sustaining. We supported hiring curriculum specialists, made tough decisions on curriculum adjustments, changing the traditional concept of our libraries through attrition and the changing of the world of technology along in our libraries. Removing our transition program, a very difficult decision, also through attrition and curriculum. Administration at that time did a study on the cognitive thinking of a 5- and 6-year-old. And the findings at that time from our specialist, Dr. Quinn, was that Abington Heights' 2.5-hour curriculum was a great fit for the curriculum at that time. Making adjustments in our music department was also very difficult, and through attrition and the size of the student population was the challenge that we had to do. My favorite time spent on this board is graduation day, listening to the incredible speeches, looking at the smiles on the graduates, but also looking at their teachers that work so hard to help them achieve their diploma. Not to mention the energy that the pit always has when we have graduation there. I've, along with the team, supported many building renovations, closing buildings, 4th grade students at Waverly moving up to the middle school for a year while their building was being renovated. High school major renovations, roof repairs along with full replacements, field renovations and new facilities, tennis courts, and we all know all the extras. Finally, as I've navigated my way for these past terms, 5 terms, after my own children have been through the district, I was asked to be a volunteer junior high and varsity track and cross-country assistant coach. The opportunity to help mentor student athletes has been an incredible, rewarding honor for me. Before the last event of every season, I would get asked if I was going to come back and if I was going to be the coach for the next year. I have attempted to retire 3 times. Yes, I did get pulled back, but I have been so honored, and it has been probably the highlight of my time here. I have had dozens of student athletes ask me for recommendations to both National Honor Society and colleges of recommendations. That is the ultimate honor to me, and it has been a pleasure to serve Abington Heights, and I am going to miss it all. And I want to wish luck to all of my current board directors in having the success for your terms and continuing your terms and enjoying the way I've enjoyed Abington Heights. And it's been a pleasure to work with all of you. Thank you. Oh, and thank you so much for this jacket. This is going to be worn every day. Thank you.
You can go run in it, too.
Well,
That's
you
it.
better believe I'm going to run in it tomorrow.
invite.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mrs. Tierney.
But how about how
Thank
cute
you
I
for
was
your
then?
thought that was taken
2005.
I know, pass that around. I gotta
Right,
see.
right?
I thought that was taken yesterday.
Okay,
Oh, you know what?
may I please have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Or to-